starting the recording. Let's do this. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 799. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Can leave me a voicemail message on Skype. The name is Mike Tech Show, all one word. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Mike Tech Show, and also facebook.com/Mike Tech Show. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call for robust remote support for IT pros and MSPs, providing unattended and on-demand remote access. Wow. All right. Gonna have to edit there. Try it free by clicking on my website at miketechshow.com or go directly to instanthousecall.com. Use the promo code MikeTechShow for your free 15-day trial. And also, don't forget my Amazon link. Please update the Amazon link with the new link that I have been using since August. And please purchase anytime you're going to Amazon. Click on that short link, bookmark it. And this way, anytime you go to Amazon, use that. And when you put items in your cart and check out, once they are shipped, a small commission comes to me to help support the show. That is the best way you can show your support, by using my Amazon link. Thank you so much for everybody for using it, and recommend that to people. All right, tonight's show got a lot to cover. So, a printer fix. We're going to talk about SetupDiag, which I had never heard of, that a listener shared. Finally, Microsoft No Passwords. I mentioned that last week and never got to it. Automating your system setup, a weather tracking site recommendation, an alternative to Adobe called PDF Redirect, and then bad Chromebook batteries. That's covering all of the mail that I'm going to be covering, including some other things mixed in. So before we get started, a few items. Next week, I am on vacation. So show 800 will be Thursday, October 14th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. And I still am not sure everything I'm going to do. I'm still planning that for show 800. A huge thank you to Matt Rodella. A lot of you know him from different conventions and some of the content that he creates. Go to techmarketingengine.com. The link will be in the show notes. He fixed my infected website, and especially the redirect for searching Mike Tech Show or Mike Nation. That redirect would take you to a pharmacy. He fixed that. Now, he discovered the hole that these infections are coming in. And the reason we can't plug the hole, we're going to quickly, I have to update my hosting with GoDaddy, because the current server environment that it's on, there's a hole. So I need to get this updated. We're going to work on that, getting it updated. The content and everything will stay the same. It's just the back end will be fixed and more secure. So thank you, Matt Rodella, for all things website related. That should be your first contact. And that's techmarketingengine.com. .com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0.
All right. Let's get some more water. Man, Thursday nights, the throat. Not every Thursday night, but tonight. And I didn't eat anything spicy. Everything was nice and calm and easy. All right. Okay. So I want to cover an email from Kate, who passing this along in case it starts showing up for your American listeners and their customers too. This is a new one on me. My husband got a text from a number that comes back as Ontario. We don't live in Ontario. Advising new COVID-19 restrictions on your region and providing a link to tap for more information. Didn't tap it, so we don't know where the link would take us. Check the news, and there's nothing about new restrictions here or Ontario. Reported the number as spam and blocked it, but thought I'd pass it on. Aside from the alert for only coming in one official language, it looked legit. None of the usual misspellings, bad grammar, etc. that tends to be clues. Very bad people doing very bad things, I suspect. She sent me a picture of the text message. I'm not going to share that, but the warning here is the bad people will take advantage of everything, and now especially COVID. Just like the bad emails on any kind of PPP loans that you could be applying for. There was a lot of scams out there. Now look at the different COVID. So please, any information like that, go to a reliable source. The CDC. That's a great place to go. Please don't get your information from the news. You really can't. Maybe your local news, but none of the national ones. You need to filter and properly select where you're going to get your information. You don't want to get it off of YouTube. You don't want to rely on Facebook. You don't want to rely on any of the social media, any of the major news channels, the Fox, CNN, MSNBC. Go to the CDC and get your information. Don't click on any links or call any phone number that is sent to you. That's my COVID public service due diligence here for everybody. Okay. How to fix the Windows network printing error. And my son had to do this yesterday on 2 systems. So the first link for tonight is a Windows security update released in January and now fully enforced this month is causing Windows users to experience the 0x000011B errors when printing to network printers. This link will give you exactly what registry entries that you have to make in order for the shared printing to work. And this is a great link from bleepingcomputer.com, which I've been using a lot lately for a lot of really good information. So you're going to have to create this registry key and make sure that it has the proper details to it. They also have a .reg file that you can download that you should keep on a USB stick if you need this. Now, I'm going to roll to, since we're talking about Windows 10 and that error, a great link that a listener, and this is Cormac from, I hope he doesn't mind, Crosshaven Computers. And he sent me this link. When updates fail, something to run. And I don't know where I've been that I didn't know of this SetupDiag program from Microsoft. And this, again, the link is going to be in the show notes. And I can't wait to run this on one of the systems that I still have to get it updated. With the release of Windows 10 version 2004, SetupDiag is included with Windows Setup. And during the upgrade process, Windows Setup will extract all of its source files to the it's the system drive Windows ~BT sources directory. Here's the bottom line. If you use SetupDiag and run, it will check where the problem was and produce a log file that you can analyze that can lead you to what is going on. You have to have .NET Framework 4.6, and it just has to be Windows 10. But when that update fails, there's the proper SetupDiag results.log that you can get generated, that you can now review, that can possibly lead us to exactly what made the failure. That's, I can't wait to try this on a client. And I'm going to see if I can do this tomorrow night and run this, and I'll definitely follow up and let you know what I found. But there's two systems that were driving me crazy. One, because of something else that happened, we had to completely redo the system. So that took care of that. But this one is stuck at 1909, and I can't get it to update successfully. So hopefully this will lead me to a solution, and hopefully it will help you. So Cormac, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody listening will appreciate that. Now, this is an interesting article that Microsoft will now let its users log in without passwords. You're like, what? Well, a lot of you might have started seeing this, and I'm definitely seeing it with more of my business accounts for Microsoft 365. But you have to use the authentication app in order, so it's their private version of two-factor authentication. So you have to download the authentication app, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, and then you can sign in and use the app. First, you have to have a smartphone. I'll never forget the first time I ran into this with someone where they don't have a smartphone. We do have some users that they don't own a smartphone. Now, they're very few. But we have a client who is a very old school locksmith. He does not have a cell phone. He doesn't not only not have a smartphone, he doesn't have a cell phone. So, yes, that's rare. But now, how would that individual handle this? So there's going to be issues with this. For me, it's when we're helping a client and we need to log in. Now, for the personal accounts, that's going to be a problem. We're going to have them on the phone, allowing us to access it if we need to. For the business accounts, what I have been doing is creating an unlicensed admin user in the Office 365, or the Microsoft 365. And I'm creating an MHS consulting account, making it the master admin for everything. And then I can have that tied to the authentication app for my two-factor authentication, and I don't have to interrupt the client. So this would only be retainer clients where I manage everything. And then I create an account. So that, I don't know if you've already been doing that or you didn't know you could, but I think anybody who was working with this for a while knows that you can do this, but it just makes it simpler so we can have it more secure, but we need access. It's like right now, if I'm going to do some DNS work for someone, and I talked about this a long time ago, GoDaddy, all my clients, I have two-factor authentication. So the only way for me to log in is to either have a separate account created that gives me admin access, or I have to have them on the phone where I'm, hey, give me the code so I can log in. And that's been working. So this way they know that I'm making a change, and that's already been prearranged for some reason. Maybe the website hosting has changed. Someone else is doing it. And there's a different IP address, or I'm doing an email change. I got to change the MX records, or they're doing something else that requires a DNS entry. So wanted to cover that. I don't know if this is a good thing. I'm worried again about the personal user for helping them, where I can't create that other admin account. That means I got to tie them up on the phone in order to get access. All right. So let's keep going. And this is really some more email here. So this is from Phil. Mike, I just listened to your combined podcast and heard you talking about hurricane tracking apps. This isn't an app, but it has more info than I understand, even with all my training. And warning, Wi-Fi only, as it is several dozen pictures, graphs, and charts. And it's Mike's weather page. I couldn't resist. I mean, Mike's weather page, and not only Mike's weather page, it is spaghettimodels.com. And you know how a hurricane, all the different spaghetti models. So this will be in the show notes for tonight. And you'll see all the different current hurricanes and the tracking of it all with great pictures. So couldn't resist that. This is a email from, it is from Jason. Check out PDF Redirect 2 as a replacement to Adobe. And this is exp-systems.com. Create, merge, encrypt, optimize, and preview PDF files. Completely free, even for commercial use. Jason, I have not downloaded that yet, but it's definitely one that I've been looking and talking about wanting to do this. So that will be a link in the show notes for tonight, and check that out, because boy, I would love to be able to have a free, really good PDF redirect to be able to recommend. Now, they even have a professional that's only $19.99 that has more features. So I'll have to look at that and see not only the free, but I mean, I'll pop $20 to test out even the advanced features. So let's see. That would be very cool, and hopefully that'll work for everybody. All right, let's get to some more email here. And I wanted to save this email for last because I am going to spend some time on this. This is from Dexter. I have 2 show questions. In Office 365, I need to remove a user email license, but have that person's email go to another user. I think if I leave the user with no license in users and add that user, an alias in the new recipient should work. What do you think? that is exactly what I would do. First, I would export all of that person's email. Get that into a PST file. So export that. Now, delete it. And you're going to have to delete the email also. You're going to have to do a full delete, but that's okay. Once it's removed, add the email as an alias to the person you want to be able to get their email. And so you could have lots of aliases. So you nailed it on the head, but I think you're going to have to not just remove the license, but also the full email account is going to get deleted. So because you can't add an alias, you can forward, but then you got to maintain the license if you're going to forward. All right. Number 2, and this is the bigger question. We do shop setup on new PCs like you do. Example, we use Ninite based on your recommendation to put Chrome and Firefox on. We also put Adobe Acrobat Reader on. Do you still put Reader on? Yes, we do. Or just let users view PDFs in Edge. We do not. The majority of our users, based on the offices that they're part of, that they need Adobe Acrobat Reader. So that means we got to stop and go to that site and download it. We also do one more thing. We install PDF Creator, which is no longer part of Ninite. So we go to that site and download it. Ninite does not do Reader. How do you handle this? And unfortunately, we do that manually, but we do it it's very fast to be able to just click and do it. I believe Ninite Pro does allow that, but that costs money. And you gotta pay some money. But I know a few people that use the Ninite Pro, and that's able to work for them. How do you handle this and Instant House Call Synchro? Trying to automate more. What other items do you install? Now, we install, if we can, if the user has agreed, and we pick Malwarebytes, the free version from Ninite, but then we use our license as a reseller to put it in and make it Malwarebytes Premium. We automatically have a separate Synchro RMM for that client. If they're a client that is a regular client that we're going to visit a few times, whether they're a retainer or not, we're putting Synchro on it. We have different RMM installs depending on who you are. If you are not a retainer, we're not going to monitor anything. We just put a bare Synchro agent on. Then we will put a monitoring one if the client is a retainer client. Now, Tom from the chat asks a great question. Do you use the Synchro Malwarebytes scripts? No, I don't. I have them there. I've added them to our dashboard of scripts, and I have not done that. And I really need to help automate the Malwarebytes licenses. So there are 3 Malwarebytes scripts, I believe, that's available for Synchro. And I started out testing with it and then let it go and never got back to it. Instant House Call. We put the Instant House Call, if it's a one-time account, then we just install it where the Get Remote Support icon is on the desktop. We don't invoke unattended access unless we have approval from the client or it's a retainer client where we have access to everything. So we will put Synchro and Instant House Call, and then there is a stack, and my son does it from memory. And sometimes I need him to double check me when I'm doing a system. He has about 15 to 20 Windows 10 tweaks that he just blows through manually and takes just a couple minutes to do it. we should automate that. Now, there are some automations that Winston Wolf sent me a great link. Marvin B. sent from Podnuts Pro sent me a link to scripts for automating Windows 10 setups that can tweak everything you want. There's a few programs out there that will automatically do it. I haven't embraced them yet. So we still do it the manual way, but I will say this. We have a different way. I think I'm going to use an Acronis image. There is the possibility we have a dental office that they are looking for a bigger new place, and we're going to have to deploy 30 computers. Now, with that, we will get them all the same, and then I will do an image, and then we'll just start blowing images down to all of them. That'll be so much easier. So we'll take one and have that as the master, and then do an image, and then just blow that, down. We did that before a few years ago for a client where we had a dozen systems, and I would say more than 3 or 4 computers, it just doesn't make sense to do it manually. So it's better to have an image. So each client will be different because there's different considerations. So depending on who they are. Now, another one is, what if they're Active Directory in a domain? Well, now we need that on site to announce it to the domain and then remote in and do our tweaks. We also, what Office are they getting? Are they using? Do they have Office? So you have to consider deploying Office. But before you do that, sometimes you have to uninstall the Office that comes in. From the chat, Jonathan Lindsay, what will you use to create and apply? I will use Acronis right now as opposed to anything else, because to me, I can quickly do an image and then have that image on our network, and I can have that on our Synology NAS and just pull it up from a boot to that new system and just apply the image. So that's not a problem. What else? And are we doing an image at a time? I'm wondering. That should be your next question. And I would then copy the image, I guess, and here's what I would do. Acronis Snap Deploy or something else. Yeah, no, now the Snap Deploy I have not used. I've just used the Acronis Restore. So I haven't had a bulk rollout of systems in a long time. So I haven't had to automate yet doing that. There's also the Fog project where you can have a Pixie boot and have an image come down. I've always considered that, and I've talked about that, which is a great way for, blowing down images and having them ready. And that is open source Linux distribution for the Fog project. There's a lot of things. Dexter, you open up a can of worms. So what I would like is everybody to email me and share with me. Taz has a great question, and I did a show a long time ago on this topic. He's getting a new Synology and asks, what apps do you suggest and use on the NAS? And for me, it's very, very few apps that I need. It's really based on what everybody else is needing and what do they need. And what I would like is, that's a second question for everybody. Tell me how you're deploying multiple systems and how do you automate? That's one. Two, what are your favorite NAS apps? I did a show a long time ago on this, and I think it needs some updating. And I'll even go through my apps. And then I have a lot of apps that I don't use, that I thought I would use. I put them down. Now the biggest, and it's not an app so much as remote access into my NAS, and that's DS File. You'll find a great suite of DS programs that are free for your phone, your iPad, your Android, whatever you have, that all you need is the way you remote in with your Quick Connect. You have to have an ID and password, and you'll see what you have permissions for. I love DS File, and I use that today even. What I also like is with the Synology, you can deploy OpenVPN very easily and have a secure VPN. So now for me here, I have my OpenVPN to the Synology NAS, and I use the IP address of my Synology because I have a different IP scheme here. So you got to think about that when you're planning your network out. And I click on that, and I have access to my entire music library from Pennsylvania when I'm here in Florida. I love that. Also, the fastest way to remote access my system in Pennsylvania, I have my Synchro RMM, I have Instant House Call unattended, but because I have the OpenVPN set up with a secure VPN, I just have remote desktop going across the secure channel into my system. That is amazing and the fastest for performance. So RDP, what I use. So I have a new client right now that has a Sophos firewall that we inherited, and they have the Sophos VPN, and they invoke the VPN, and then they have an RDP into their desktop. So I'm seeing more and more of that for speed. Now, as a reseller, as an MSP, as an IT professional, I don't have VPNs for everybody. So that's why we got to use Instant House Call, because you don't have the luxury of a VPN for every client. And that's where I have a setup that they would go to my website, mhsconsulting.net, click on remote support, click on download, boom, they're downloading the Instant House Call client, and then they click start session, and then that's it. They connect to me, or they connect to my son, and we take care of everything. But the Synology lends itself to a lot of other things that you might not have been thinking of. So I store images there, as we talked about it, as we need it. Also, any kind of programs, I try to keep it updated, but sometimes, we have such a fast internet connection, it's easier to just go to the site and download it. And like Adobe Reader keeps changing all the time. So you just download it, the link, and you go to it. I would love to know how everybody's dealing with those one-offs in order to automate. Now, there are some good scripting options and some free software that you can use and I can't think of it. Synchro uses some for deploying software, and you can call it from a PowerShell script. There are some really good options, and that's what I'm looking for people to, listeners, send me examples of your scripts and how you're calling and deploying. And we can come up with some ultimate solutions for everybody that can save time and speed things up. So that would be cool. All right. I think I've covered. Oh, no, I didn't. Hold on. All right. One final email from Bob. We have over 600 Chromebooks here at our school. Since the majority of our Chromebooks now have a few years on them, I am starting to run into systems that will no longer hold a charge. When I open them up, I can tell right away what this issue is because the lithium batteries are swollen. The batteries have 3 sections, and some will have 1 or 2 sections that are swollen. But the worst ones are the ones that have all 3 sections swollen. He sent me some pictures. The first picture is a new battery, and the second one is the one that no longer holds a charge. These have the same chemical makeup of the Android phone batteries that failed and had one burn up on an airplane a couple years back. I've also found this in some of our radios that have lithium batteries. Some have swollen so bad it makes it difficult to take the back case off. So things to be, things that, you know what? Since I am going to show this right now. So for the video, this is a good battery. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bad battery where you can see the 2 swollen, or actually all 3 areas are swollen. And that's how you can tell. So if you're listening to the podcast, go check it out at my YouTube site. And this is a great segue into going to the YouTube site. And it's very simple. Go to my channel go to youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. MICHAEL SMITH MTS. And that is my YouTube channel. And you'll be able to get show $7.99, and you'll be able to see those batteries. So a little tease if you wanted to see that. All right. That is it. And Bob, thanks for sending that in. I really appreciate it. That is it for tonight's show. I want you to remember Instant House Call. So we've talked about them tonight, and I use them all the time, every day. My son and I use Instant House Call for remote access. If you're an MSP or an IT professional, that's what you need. Go to instanthousecall.com. Also, Fab's Auto Backup. My son's going to be using that tomorrow. We have a system with a hard drive that's crashed that we're hoping that it boots. And my son's going to take that out and then use Fab's after he puts a new hard drive in the laptop and installs Windows 10. Then he's going to use Fab's to transfer the data. So Fab's Auto Backup, and that's an affiliate. The link is in the show notes. And then, of course, please use my Amazon link for all of your Amazon purchases. I really appreciate it. That is it for tonight's show. See everybody in 2 weeks for show 800 on October 14th. Bye-bye.